Welcome to Covia. At this site, we take the safety and health of all our employees, contractors, and visitors very seriously. In fact, one of our 5 life-saving rules is safety before production. This means that your safety takes priority over everything else. We've prepared this informational video to assist you in understanding the hazards you may encounter while on our property and how to best protect yourself from these hazards. We want your visit here to be safe and productive. These rules and procedures have been developed to ensure all parties understand their responsibilities around safety and health. All applicable local and federal laws governing safety and health must be followed. Failure to comply with any of these rules may result in your removal from the property and the forfeiture of the privilege of access to our premises. Training is valid for 1 year unless operating conditions change, requiring updated training. If you have any questions during this video or during your time here, please do not hesitate to talk with your site representative, who will be more than happy to answer your questions. Your participation in this process is crucial to the ongoing success of our safety and health program. Personal protective equipment. Managing risks is another of Covia's 5 life-saving rules. That's why personal protective equipment, including safety footwear, hard hat with 360-degree reflective surfaces, safety glasses, protective gloves, and high-visibility clothing, are required to be worn at all times. Outside of controlled environments, such as offices, control rooms, lunchrooms, and vehicle cabs. Loose clothing, adornments, and hair must be suitably controlled or confined to prevent entanglement with any machinery or device. Rings that present a crushing or degloving injury potential must not be worn. Hearing protection is required in designated and posted areas or based on the task being performed. Check with your site representative to determine if hearing protection will be required. Depending on the work you will be doing and the location on site, other personal protective equipment may be required. It is suggested you discuss these requirements with your site representative. Fall protection must be used at all times when there is a danger of falling. Any fall protection system must use a full-body harness. All harnesses must be ANSI approved or equivalent. The use of safety belts are strictly prohibited. If you will be performing any work at heights, please discuss with your site representative, as additional rules will apply for barricading, ladder restrictions, and rescue considerations. Always use 3 points of contact when climbing ladders or mounting and dismounting mobile equipment. Protective clothing and face shields must be used when welding, cutting, grinding, or working with molten metal or other hot environments. Stay clear of all lakes, ponds, ditches, and tailings. If working near one of these areas, or when there is a danger of falling into water, life jackets must be worn. All life jackets must be approved by the U.S. Coast Guard or equivalent and designed to keep an unconscious individual's face above water. The use of respirators may be required in some areas. Your site representative will inform you and give directions on any respirator use. In order to effectively use a respirator, all users must be clean-shaven and have a proper respirator fit test. Safety rules and procedures. Smoking is not permitted on any Covia property. Horseplay, fighting, and practical jokes are prohibited. Guns and other weapons are prohibited on Covia property. Alcohol and drugs are prohibited on Covia property, and any worker suspected of being under the influence of these will be removed from the site. No clearance will be given to anyone with the odor of intoxicating liquor on their breath. Safety procedures on property. Do not wander around the property. Proceed directly to the area you are cleared to visit and remain there until your work is completed. If you require access to another area, please check with your site representative first. When providing a service on property, maintain and leave your work area in orderly condition. Good housekeeping is essential to safety. Check with your site representative if you will be doing any work in confined spaces, around stockpiles, working at heights, performing live electrical work, or conducting any welding, cutting, or other hot work. Additional policies and procedures, including work permits, will apply. Energy isolation. Lockout, tagout, tryout is another of our 5 life-saving rules, and it starts with energy isolation. No equipment can be worked upon unless all energy sources have been effectively isolated, locked out, and tagged out according to the Covia isolation plan. When determining if a piece of equipment is properly isolated, all energy sources must be considered, including kinetic energy, potential energy, pressure, electrical energy, thermal energy, or chemicals. Lockout, tag-out, and try-out procedures must be strictly adhered to. If you will be performing any electrical work while on site, please review with your site representative, as additional requirements will apply, including live work restrictions and arc flash protection. Blasting and your safety. Frequent blasting activity takes place in the quarry area of the mine. This area is strictly off-limits. Stay clear at all times. During any blasting operations, you will be instructed by your site representative where to proceed for your safety. Always be aware of when blasting will occur. Use check-in, out system at underground mines. Always carry a light and self-rescuer. Traffic management. Traffic management is critical to another of our 5 life-saving rules. Separate people from mobile equipment. Getting around and working at our facility requires all personnel to understand and abide by rules to ensure everyone's safety. You may encounter trucks, front-end loaders, forklifts, and other moving equipment. Be alert and stay clear of mobile equipment. Mobile equipment has the right of way and can move unexpectedly. Never follow any vehicle too closely. Make sure the operator knows you are in the vicinity. Note that the operator's view can be obstructed. Never talk to operators of equipment while in motion to avoid distracting them. With larger pieces of equipment, such as excavators and cranes, stay out of the swing area of the machine and never climb onto the tracks or turntable of an operating machine. Never hitch a ride or get on or off any moving mobile equipment. If you are in an area with forklift traffic, watch for warning lights and listen for backup alarms. Stay within designated no-go zones unless you have made positive communication with all forklift operators and have been given clearance to proceed. Always follow the operator's directions and instructions. Large mobile equipment must also be segregated from light vehicle traffic and pedestrians whenever possible. Always yield the right of way to a larger piece of equipment. Before entering any operational mining area, any light vehicle, including automobiles, pickup trucks, and service vehicles, must be equipped with a buggy whip, a flashing light, and a means of positive two-way communication with mobile equipment operators. Check with your site representative if you do not have the required equipment. If you will be using any type of vehicle during your time on site, you must complete a pre-use inspection prior to use. If you will be using any mobile equipment on site, you must provide documented task training records to your site representative. When driving on Covia property, always obey all traffic signs, including speed signs and stop signs. In areas where the speed limit is not posted, travel at a speed appropriate for the area and type of hazards that may be encountered. Seatbelts must be used at all times, and headlights must be used from dusk to dawn while driving on all Covia properties. Children must remain in vehicles at all times when in operating areas of a facility. Park only in designated parking areas or where directed by your site representative. If you will be required to use your vehicle beyond the main office parking area, you must set your parking brake and chalk your wheels when parked. Your site representative can provide wheel chocks if necessary. Always sound your horn prior to moving from a parked position. Portable electronic devices, such as cell phones, are prohibited from use while operating any vehicle on Covia property, unless operated in hands-free mode. If the device cannot be operated hands-free, the vehicle must be stopped in order to use the device. Rail cars and your safety. Watch for moving rail cars when on site. Rail cars may be moved suddenly and quickly. Watch and listen for warning signals from locomotives and trackmobiles. Never board or deboard moving rail cars, and only cross rail tracks at least 25 feet ahead or behind stopped rail cars or locomotives. Never cross under, over, or between railroad cars. If you will be performing any type of work or service near any rail lines or equipment, discuss with your site representative, as additional procedures may apply. Hazard recognition and avoidance. When walking around the facility, always use designated walkways and doors. Use caution when entering any building to check for hazards. Stop, observe, then proceed when it is safe to do so. Watch for slip, trip, and fall hazards, and use caution when transitioning from one type of surface to another. During bad weather, watch for slip hazards from wet, icy, and snow-covered ground conditions. Do not cross any barricaded or restricted area. You may encounter crushers, conveyors, fans, screens, and other moving machinery. Be alert and stay clear of moving equipment. Never take shortcuts, especially around conveyors or other material transfer systems. Many pieces of equipment have auto start capabilities, so always watch for signs and listen for warning signals to warn you of this type of equipment. Stay clear of idle equipment unless you are sure that the controls are locked out. As you move about the site, always keep in mind maintenance operations are done on an ongoing basis and welding activities occur constantly. Never look directly at welding operations without the proper personal protective equipment. Watch for operating cranes and hoisting areas with suspended loads, and never work under loads or cross underneath. If you are required to use a hoist during your time on site, you must receive specific task training for the hoist and conduct a pre-use inspection before using it. Avoid areas where there is potential for falling objects. Wear a hard hat in designated areas. Be alert for overhead obstruction hazards. Do not attempt to step near the edge of a pit edge or high wall. Do not attempt to work on any equipment where unsafe ground conditions or high walls exist. The equipment should be moved to a safe location. Do not use any flame or spark-producing devices around storage areas of gasoline, fuel, lubricants, compressed gases, explosives, or other flammable or combustible substances. Avoid contact with all sources of electrical transmission, distribution, and control. Be aware of hazardous chemicals in the workplace and familiarize yourself with the safety data sheets for any on-site products you may come in contact with. Ask your site representative for safety data sheet locations. If you are bringing a hazard chemical on site, inform your site representative of the chemical, the quantity, and provide a safety data sheet. Emergency and evacuation procedures. When you enter an area, it is a good practice to become familiar with the location of emergency equipment, including fire extinguishers and emergency exits. First aid supplies are located throughout the property. Emergency phone numbers are posted at all phones. In the event of an emergency, it is critical for you to understand your responsibilities and actions you need to take to ensure your safety. In the event of an emergency, proceed to the appropriate location and follow instructions. Do not leave the property unless advised by your site representative. If you suffer any incident while on Covia property, you must report it to your site representative as soon as possible, and definitely before you leave the property. This includes minor first aid incidents, property damage, or near hits. While we pride ourselves on establishing and maintaining our sites in safe condition, it is a team effort involving all Covia employees and our contractors or visitors. If you notice any hazardous condition during your time on site, please notify any Covia employee immediately. See it, stop it, report it is another of our 5 life-saving rules. By working together, we can all contribute to a safe and productive workplace. Please enjoy your visit with us today, and feel free to discuss any concerns with your site representative or any Covia employee. Working together, we can make a difference in the safety and health of all the personnel on our property. Have a safe day.